Hey, if you have not heard, ZimmWriter, the AI writing software, is now able to summarize and scrape data from the internet. You can bring that data, that real-time data in, whether it's a recent news article or product information from Amazon or some kind of big retailer or manufacturer. You can bring that data in, summarize it using AI all automatically, and it's pretty amazing. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to do that, where you can do that, and also give you some best practices. So let's dive in and get started. First place that you can scrape data is inside of a magic command. We'll show you that first, and then the other place is inside of the SEO blog writer, inside of the global background, and also in the local backgrounds for your different subheadings. So we'll look at the magic commands first, and then we'll look at the SEO blog writer. So I have Notepad open. We're going to work inside of here, and there's this URL for this CNN article. So I'm going to take this URL and I'm going to paste it in here. Now, normally for a magic command, you have to tell the AI to do something. So let's say, write a social media post about this URL. Now, I'm using the word URL right here because what's happened is ZimmWriter, let me actually run this right now, and then I'll talk. ZimmWriter is going to go out to the internet and scrape this right now and summarize it, and then feed that in as like background information for this particular command right here. So if you want to refer to the scraped information, the data from the URL that was scraped and summarized, refer to it as URL. You don't paste the URL down here, but say, write a social media post about this URL, or write a summary of this URL, or write some talking points about this URL, and you'll get good results from that. So the scraping is almost done right now. And what happens is it's going to scrape the URL first, and then it will process our magic command. All right, the URL is now 100% scraped, 100% summarized, and now it's carrying out this magic command. So write a social media post about this URL. Heading to Italy this summer, make sure to check out Frulia Venezia. Man, that's just like really hard to say. I can't say that. In the Northeast. Not only is this region rich in culture, history, and stunning and natural beauty, but you can also receive up to £350 in vouchers to enjoy many attractions, restaurants, and hotels. Don't miss out. That's pretty cool. All right, we just summarized this entire page with AI, and then we wrote a social media post about it. Now I'm going to share with you a secret. Right now, we can't see the summary that the AI made on the page. So if we wanted to, for example, tweak this magic command, write a Facebook post about this URL. We'd highlight it, hit Control 1. ZimmWriter would go and scrape this data again. We don't really want that. Because we've already scraped it, we've already summarized it, but we don't see that summary. So what we can do is actually I can hit Control-V and paste the summary, which is stored in the clipboard, into Notepad right here. So when you scrape a page, and you issue a magic command with the URL, it's going to carry out that magic command, but then also store that summary in the clipboard. So what's really neat is now we can take this command, write a Facebook post, paste it at the end of the summary, highlight that command and highlight the summary, and hit Control-1. And now ZimmWriter does not have to rescrape the page. It's just going to process our background information. Check out this amazing new initiative in Italy. Visitors can receive up to £350 in vouchers to spend in hotels, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a quick and easy way to repurpose the summary without having to scrape it again. Now, if you don't want to carry out a magic command, so this was our magic command right here. This was the URL we wanted it to process. If we don't want it to do that, what we can do is go up here and type in summarize and then an equal sign. And then if we do that and highlight it and hit Control-1, ZimmWriter will just scrape and summarize the page and spit out the summary for us. It will not process a further magic command for us. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about working with URLs inside of a magic command. While this is working, let me give you a couple more best practices with this. Number one, all of the scraping and summarizing, whether you're doing it in a magic command or you're doing it in the SEO blog writer, all uses Turbo. So on average, if you were to scrape and summarize a 10,000 word blog post, it would cost you roughly 2 pennies. If you were to scrape and summarize a 1,000 word blog post, it would probably cost you a fifth of a penny. So you cut a penny in 5 pieces, a fifth of a penny. So it's a very economical approach to processing data. I wouldn't really worry about spending too much money scraping. It's all going to be very inexpensive using Turbo. Another best practice is right now with Magic Commands, you can only do one URL at a time. You can't paste two URLs and ask the AI to compare, for instance, two products at two different URLs. It can't do that. It's one URL at a time. So here's the summary. It didn't, like I said, it didn't carry out a Magic Command. It just gave us that summary because we tagged this URL with summarize and then an equal sign. Pretty easy. One last tip, all of the URLs that you add in have to be like HTTP or HTTPS colon forward slash and then the URL. If you try some other format, just www, it's not going to work. You need this HTTPS and whatnot. And then finally, sometimes the scrape won't work. Sometimes you might get an error message. Try the scrape one more time and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then maybe the URL is incompatible or something. Sometimes also it can't find any data to scrape, could just be because of a glitch or whatnot. Scraping is not perfect. It's a when you actually look at the page source, here's all of the data that the AI is looking at when it's analyzing this page. And it's having to parse out the actual text from all of this HTML code. So it's not simple. It's a very complex process. Scraping data is not simple at all. So there are going to be some glitches here or there. And that's just the nature of the beast that we're dealing with. But for the most part, 99% of all the websites that you deal with should scrape just fine. Let's do one more. This is from Backlink O called Reverse Outreach. Let's use this inside of the SEO blog writer. So we'll open up the SEO blog writer. Now, you can put URLs inside of the global background, and you can also put URLs inside of your subheading background. So this is like an H2. We could put a URL inside of here. We're going to talk about the global background first. Why you would want to put something in the global background is multiple reasons. Number one, if you use option 3, it can help generate your H2s using that global background, using that scraped URL data. In addition, when you put a URL in here and it scrapes it and converts it to global background, that information will then be fed into each H2, each H3, each H4 as the AI writes the article, and that can influence what's written. So if you're writing about a very niche subject, that global background can really help the AI understand what that product or that manufacturer, whatever that niche is that it does not have knowledge on. Though I'll have another video on understanding the global background and the background sections. This video is more about scraping data. So we're going to put our URL in here. Oops, that's not the URL. Let's try it again. Backlink O. And we'll actually try to replicate this page, how to get backlinks using reverse outreach. So there's techniques called reverse outreach. That's the URL we're going to scrape. I can just press option 3 and it will scrape this URL, create our summary inside of the global background, and then automatically start writing those H2s. So we're going to try that right now. You'll see a little box that will appear down here. It will tell you the status of the scrape. What's going to happen is ZimmWriter will go to this URL and it will find all the data, and then it will chunk it up into manageable chunks to feed OpenAI and then get a summary of each of those chunks. And then it will feed each of those summarized chunks back into OpenAI and get one final summary out of it. And it will paste that summary into this global background section, and then it will generate those H2. So there's a lot of steps involved behind the scenes in getting those H2s generated based on this particular article. But this is actually really useful to replicate either a niche that the AI does not know about or repurpose someone else's article to be your own in your own style. Now, while this is working, let me mention one more thing. What we could have done is we could have just taken all this text from this article, copied all the text, and just pasted it into the global background section. One of the downsides is the global background is limited to about 1,000 to 1,200 words. And by scraping a URL, the ZimmWriter is going to summarize the content on that page. So it's not going to take every little last word. So you are limited on the number of words you can put in the global background. So using the scraping functionality can condense and capture that main point, the main subpoints of that article very concisely. All right, the scraping has gotten to 80%, and I think that's the indicator that now everything's been scraped, everything's been summarized, and now it's summarizing those mini chunks, those mini summaries. So it just should take a moment more. All right, so it's done right now. We have overview, strategy, benefits, implementation steps, success factors, feedback, and testing. Now, you'll look up here is the entire summary of that web page. I recommend going through here for some things you scrape and reviewing it. All right. That's number one best practice. Don't just rely on the AI to identify what the key points are. Go through it and check, especially if you're doing like a product roundup. And I'm going to put a little caveat right here. Amazon is pretty safe. All right. You don't have to worry too much about Amazon, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're scraping stuff from some other big box stores like Best Buy or Home Depot or something like that, where there is a lot of other information on the page unrelated to the main topic. So, taking a product, for instance, you go to Home Depot and you're looking at a particular drill. All right. They might have other related drills on the same page. The AI is not going to know what's about that drill and what's about the other drills. And so you could get a lot of biased stuff in here. So I highly recommend going through the scraped result and then editing out things that are not relevant, because that is going to affect, all right, not only the H2 generations if you're using option 3, but the actual output, because this global background is fed into each, whenever the ZimmWriter starts writing this particular H2, it's going to be fed into the content as it's writing that. It's going to be fed into this H2 as it's writing the content for this one. Make sure that this is clean and has stuff that's just relevant for how to get backlinks using reverse outreach. Initially, this looks pretty good right here. Now, again, this video is about scraping. It's not necessarily about the global background, but I'll mention this right here. When you're using a global background, I don't recommend going over 5 subheadings. All right, you go over 5 subheadings and you might get some repetition. If you're going to have a lot of subheadings, then I highly recommend not necessarily using a global background, or at least using a global background in conjunction with a local background, like a background for your particular H2. We're not going over 5. This summary looks pretty decent. This topic is not too niche, so I think the AI will be able to do a good job writing about this. But if your topic is very niche specific, the AI doesn't happen to know a lot about it, you have a lot of H2s, a lot of H3s, a lot of H4s, then don't just use that global background. Also use some background for each one of these particular H2s to get better results, to avoid repetition and things like that. I'll have another video on best practices for background sections, but that's just like just an overview of best practices. Let's add one more URL in here to scrape and see how that works right now. Feedback and testing. Let's add another H2 and we'll call this, I don't know, what can we, let's see here, how to get more backlinks. Let's just add something that we can find out here on the internet. There we go. So this is perfect. So we'll say other tricks, and I'll take this URL and I'll copy it and I'll paste it right here. And then what we'll do is we'll scrape this result and we'll review the result before we start generating the article. Now, I mentioned before the limit for the number of words for a summary, right? Not the input words that the AI is going to scrape, but the summary that it's going to create is about 1,000 to 1,200 words inside the global background. So in some instances, you can paste up to 3 URLs inside of here. For these subheading backgrounds, you're limited to 500 words. So we're cutting that in half because it's all fed into OpenAI together. You're going to be limited to the number of words we can feed into OpenAI. So I've capped this at about 500 words. So hopefully we'll get about a 500 word summary from this article. And what I want to do is I want to scrape that and preview it. There's a couple options down here. If I click this, scrape URLs and start SEO Writer, ZimmWriter will try to scrape all the URLs above here, and then it will start writing. So I will not have an opportunity to review the scrape data. I don't recommend that. This option is just going to scrape those URLs, and it won't start writing the article. It will allow me to preview the result. This button right here will allow me to start the SEO writer without scraping any URLs. Some people have told me that they like putting URLs in here in the background section in hopes that the AI will use those URLs as citations or links or something like that. So that option is in here. So we're going to click this button right here to allow ZimmWriter to start scraping that URL, but not start writing the article. We'll be able to review that scraped result and then edit it if we see anything that doesn't belong in there before we start writing the article. I'll just speed the video up and we'll look at the result. The scrape and summary is done. Let's scroll up so we can check it out. So it's all inside of this box. At least 500 words are. We can see it cut off right here, building RE. So it stopped right there. So here, actually, let's copy it from here and paste it into Notepad and check it out. It's easier to view when it's out of here. So strategies for building white hat backlinks, guest blogging, partnering with businesses, asking for backlinks. This is great. I think the AI would really go to town with this and some good stuff for this other tricks section. Facts and statistics and key points. That's great. All right, we'll just leave this as is in here. It looks great. It doesn't look like there's any extraneous information in here. And we will go over here and specify the settings that we want to use to write this article. We're going to do short length. I want second person with you. We'll do literary devices. I'll have lists enabled. And audience personality, we'll leave that blank. We don't need any product layout prompt. We're not using that. I'm going to turn auto style on. It will find the most trusted person to write this article. We're not going to use automatic keywords, and we're going to write this using Turbo. And the reason I'm recommending using Turbo anytime you use global background is because the cost can get a little high if you're using like GPT-4 or DaVinci. And some people aren't aware of that. So I highly recommend using Turbo unless you're perfectly okay with the costs. I think I generated 60 subheadings, an article with 60 subheadings. I used DaVinci. It was $5. All right, very expensive. If I would have used GPT-4, I think it would have been $15. So just be careful if you start using a global background. People think it's a magic bullet, but it does come with some trade-offs. So we'll use Turbo, and there's no more URLs to scrape. So I can either click this button because there's nothing to scrape and it will start writing, or I can just click Start Writer without scraping. We'll just click this one, and we'll see the little progress bar in the lower right. Just takes a second because it's processing that global background right now. There we go. I'll speed the video up and we'll come back and check out the result. The article is finished. Let's actually go into our directory and find it. Let's delete these old articles. So this is how to get backlinks using reverse outreach. Let me drop it in this markdown converter. So I want to convert it to a Word doc, and we'll open it up and check it out. I'll make this file available in the description for this video too, so you can check this out at your leisure. So this was 3 pennies. If this was not using Turbo, this would be 30 cents, I think, with DaVinci. So this was 3 pennies using Turbo, and we only have 5 H2 or 6 H2s, right? So how to get backlinks using reverse outreach. Have you ever struggled with backlinks for your website despite putting off the effort to create high quality content? You still find yourself falling behind your competitors, all this stuff. So overview, strategy benefits, implementation steps. Start by finding journalistic keywords related to your niche and creating content around those keywords with unique data and stats. I've actually read this article. It's a really good article too, and that's what it talks about. Make sure to include subheadings optimized around journalistic keywords and provide short answers to questions related to those keywords. This is great. It's actually using that background. If you're wondering how others have responded to reverse outreach strategy and are curious about testing it yourself, the feedback from others suggests that it's useful and effective approach. Because what it actually did, there's actually comments on this blog post. So it scraped those and added those to the summary. So many have found success with this strategy, even without existing authority and brand recognition. However, it's important to note that the process can take time to pick up traction. It can take 3 to 4 months for your page to start to rank. It can take 3 to 4 months. So it's using that data. It's using that summary from the article. That's awesome. So this is that section that we used, and we scraped that other page from this search engine journal. Discover additional tactics. So I'd probably modify this and say, here are some additional tactics for building white hat backlinks and improving your website search engine ranking. In addition to reverse outreach, that's really cool. It's tying that in. There are other tricks that you can use to attract high quality backlinks. Here are some options. Create shareable content, use social media, engage in broken link building, participate in online communities. See how cool that is? You're meshing together different articles, different concepts. I want to show you one more thing now. We're going to scrape Amazon, and this is important to demonstrate. So let's go back to our SEO blog writer. I'm going to scroll down and erase all of these settings to start fresh. Now, I want to put a title in here, Best Robot Lawn Mower. And we're going to write one more blog post, And this is just going to be a demonstration blog post. This is not how I would write an article about best robot lawnmower. I just want to demonstrate something. We're going to enable the subheading background, and I'm going to go to Amazon. And this is where we're going to talk about IP addresses for a moment. All of this scraping right now is done using your own IP address. I'm in Ohio. Most places don't block IP addresses from Ohio. So I can happily go out to Backlink O, I can go out to Search Engine Journal, scrape their a particular page. I'm not hammering their website. I just make one request to their website. They're not going to block my IP address. I can't do that with Amazon. I can't do that with Google if I want to go scrape Google. I need something additional. I need a rotating IP proxy, a scraping proxy. And if you're in a different country, if you're in China or somewhere with a firewall, you might not be able to naturally just scrape these URLs without a rotating proxy also. This is different than if you're using a VPN on your computer. You might have a paid VPN plan. That's not good enough. Inside of the options menu, you'll see two links now. One's called Set a New ScrapeAL API Key and Buy a ScrapeAL API Key. You click this link, and make sure to click this link because it will give you special pricing on this API for this rotating proxy. You'll see a little referral up here in the URL. I make no money from this. This is not a money maker for me at all. I've negotiated with this company to give ZimmWriters a special price. If you don't click this link right here, you won't see this special pricing. So for this is special just for ZimmWriters in this hobby plan too. For $5 a month, you can get 10,000 credits. Each credit is like one scrape. So you could theoretically scrape Amazon 10,000 times in 1 month. No one's going to do that. Google, when I implement that, it's not implemented yet. It might be a little bit more credits than one scrape per credit. I don't know. We'll figure all that out. But most people can get by with the $5 a month plan. You start the free trial with this link. You eventually upgrade to the $5 plan. You come in here, you set the ScrapeAL API key. When you do that, you will now be able to scrape Amazon using ZimmWriter. Now, what's really cool about using this is if you go to an Amazon page, there's a lot of stuff on here, a lot of stuff that's not relevant to this product. So there's frequently bought together. Here's some other things in here. If I just had ZimmWriter go to this page, try to go to this page and scrape it, I would get a lot of extraneous information. But ScrapeOwl allows us to do some really amazing things with this and just pull out the data related to this particular product. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put in, let's go to our SEO writer. I'm going to put in this URL. And we'll paste it right in here to the background information, and we'll call this the Husqvarna Automotive Robotic Lawnmower. That will be our title. And I'm going to trigger this product layout. All this is explained in the training details on my you go over here, you click on online help. There's an exhaustive training on using SEO blog writer. So we're not explaining this stuff in this video. The long and short is we're putting the URL for Amazon right here. And now I want to go to another site. I want to go to Home Depot. And I want to demonstrate something. And we're going to scrape a page from Home Depot also. And we're going to put this yard force in. So I'll copy this. I'll put yard force right here. Yard force, let's call it yard force robot lawn mower. It will trigger product layout on here. And I will go down here and I don't want to run the creation of the article. I just want to process those URLs. So I'm going to click this button right here, scrape URLs only. And it's going to scrape those right now. I'm going to talk about something. I'm trying to demonstrate something to you. I want to demonstrate how so we don't need ScrapeOwl to scrape Home Depot, but because we're using ScrapeOwl to scrape Amazon, I've programmed it just to extract the product specific things. And if you're more technologically savvy, I'll explain how that works. I found the corresponding CSS classes and IDs for some of these different things. ScrapeOwl lets you to extract just data associated with a specific ID or a specific class for CSS. And that allows us to get very specific with what we're scraping from the page. Almost no other scrapers allow you to do that. We're not even touching this information right here. We're not touching, I believe, this information right here. We're just pulling the relevant things, and we're also pulling the product reviews. For Home Depot, we're not doing that. We're pulling everything on this page. So if you happen to be scraping non-Amazon pages, your mileage is definitely going to vary, and you're going to want to review those scrapes, review those summaries, because you're going to have some of that extraneous information. What I'd like to do is build functionality for users, people just like you, to, if you are a little bit technologically savvy, identify what CSS tags, classes, and IDs you want scraped for a particular website. So imagine a community of ZimmWriters, and you're like, "Hey, what's the relevant stuff for scraping a Home Depot page?" And somebody will share those CSS IDs and classes. You can input those into ZimmWriter, and then it will pull just the product details, just the title of the product, just the price, and just the good stuff, and discount the rest of the stuff on here. I think that'd be very valuable for affiliate marketers. We don't have that functionality yet. I haven't built that in yet, but that's where I see it going. So Scrape Out will become even more useful as time goes on. So it's almost done with our scrape. Let me pull up Notepad so we can more easily review this. And I'll delete this summary in here. We don't need that anymore. The two URLs are summarized. And again, because we clicked this button, it did not start writing the article, which is good. We want to review those summaries. Now, like I said, I explained that stuff with the special Amazon treatment using the CSS IDs and classes. That allows us to have a very good quality scrape right here. Product name. And then these are the details on it. Suitable for medium to large yards. Here's some more specifications. And then here are some things from the reviews. It's a bit expensive, but worth the investment, equipped with theft protection features. Absolutely phenomenal. We don't find anything on here that's extraneous, that's irrelevant. Maybe the rank of bestseller rank is not really relevant, but aside from that, very good quality summary of this particular product. Now let's look at the Home Depot one. So I'll select it all. We'll bring it in here. So let's go back to the product page right here. So this is the Yard Force. It says NX100i. Is that what this is called? Product detail? I would assume so. Yep, NX100i. Controlled by a phone app, rain sensors. We have the battery, 7-inch. Yep, the same one. Doing good so far. So a lot of it looks good. Now let's look at the bottom down here. So sign up for emails and get $5 off. We don't need that. Home Depot, there's basically a copyright. We don't need that. Use of this site. So terms and use, we don't need that. Prices will vary. Here's a phone number. We don't need any of this stuff. So we can delete that stuff. Special financing, we don't need that. That doesn't deal with the product itself. So it's impossible without identifying the various CSS IDs and classes to get a perfect summary out of this. And this is just Home Depot. Imagine we have Best Buy, we have Lowe's, you have all these, and that's just in the US. I don't know what other stores overseas you guys have in Europe and whatnot, but that's the gist of it. So you should definitely go through and review your summaries. If you're using the SEO blog writer and you're summarizing stuff, that means you want a good quality article. You're still saving a lot of time. This is a lot faster than doing it by hand, but it's not foolproof. You are going to have to review some of the stuff. So we edited the summary. I'm going to take it and paste it back in here. And that is our new summary. And now we'll go over here and we'll just write this article really quick. I'll show you how it works. We'll use, we can use DaVinci because we're not using a global background. You'll save a lot of money by just using these local backgrounds where appropriate. We're triggering the product layout, and that's all we want. So we'll write this right now. It's going to go quick. Again, this would not be how I would write a product roundup because our only H2s are these two different products. But this will give you an idea for the type of output you can get when you trigger that product layout, when you put that background information in. I will also make this file available for download in the link to the description for this video. The article is done. And again, this article is not representative of how I would do a product roundup review. I just wanted to demonstrate how we can scrape the URLs, use those subheading backgrounds to then have the AI write about that topic. Let's see in here. This cost me 10 cents for these two H2s. So remember, we tagged the product layout. So Husqvarna Automotive 430 HX. It's an ideal choice for those looking for a reliable automated lawn maintenance solution with GPS assisted navigation and smart technology. This robotic lawnmower is suitable for medium to large yards, up to 0.8 acres. Man, this is really nice. It's pulling it all from this specifications in here. It's equipped with GPS theft tracking, built-in alarm system, and PIN code lock for security. So we can probably search for it in here. PIN code. There you go. PIN code lock. The cutting width is 9.45 inches with an area capacity of 1,430. So here's the specs. Here's the pros and here's the cons. Usually this stuff is pulled from the reviews. What else? Works with GPS navigation. A bit expensive. Let's search for that. So it's although it's more expensive. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Here's the Yard Force. So again, Yard Force, we did the review from Home Depot, not from Amazon. Let's see what we got. Yard Force's robot mower keeps your lawn looking neat with its 3-blade cutting head and 8 rear wheels. In nearly silent operation, this robot lawnmower is controlled by phone app and includes rain sensors. Rain sensors? Really? That's cool. Yeah, rain sensors notify the mower to return to its charging station once it recognizes the need to do. That's pretty cool. Ultrasonic sensors, lithium battery. You can mow a third of an acre. Includes 5 preset cutting heights and a mulch system. Let's search for that mulch. Built-in mulch system. There you go. Product specs, pros, cons. So that's awesome. Imagine again, you extrapolate this out. You have 6 products, and then you have a buying guide at the end. Your factors to consider when buying a robot lawnmower, and you have 5 different H3s inside of there. Very easy to quickly build out a very comprehensive article. We use DaVinci for this. If you had used Turbo for this, instead of being 9 pennies, this would be 1 penny. So I highly recommend, again, using Turbo. You'll get great results inside of ZimmWriter for it. Then you also have that mid-journey prompt, robot mowing a lush green lawn with a peaceful background of trees and a bright blue sky. Fantastic. So hope you like this video. I hope this kind of comprehensively covered how you can use the scraping functionality in ZimmWriter right now inside of the magic commands, inside of the SEO blog writer. I will eventually build up more functionality to get more use out of this, but there's a lot of things you can do with it now, a lot of power. I'd love to hear how you're using it. Drop a comment down below. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Finally, there's a link to ZimmWriter in the description below, and join the Facebook group. There's over 7,000 amazing people in there that will help you in your AI journey, help you in your content creation journey. We'd all love to see you there. So until next time, good luck with your content generation. I'll talk to you later.